Hey guys, Jared here, Magnetic Men's Club. Hope everyone's doing well. In this video, I want to just talk to you guys about divorce. Whether you've come to this channel, you're going through a divorce, you're thinking about a divorce, or you've already been through one and maybe you're on your second marriage or you're in an LTR and you're thinking about getting married again, then this video is for you. I am not against divorce. And I'm really not for divorce. I'm really, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you as an individual feel is right for you, then go do it. All I'm here to do is give you the facts and some of the things that you need to look out for, especially if you're going into a second or possibly third divorce. Now, having said that, for me personally, to get married again, I was married probably 8-9 years ago. I was with my wife for a total of, I'm gonna say 14 years. We dated and got married, so combined was about 14 years. And you know, it just didn't work out. It didn't work out more on my end. So for me, I just did not want to be married. There was a whole lot of reasons for that. I won't go into it in this video, but talking about first divorce, this is the first one I want to talk about. 39% of first marriages end in divorce. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this. I would say for the most part, a lot of people get married too young and they really don't know who they are. They don't really know who their partner is. Their partner doesn't really know who they are. They get married in this concept of just, I love them. And they don't really have anything else to go. They just don't want to lose them. If you're in this camp and maybe you married your high school sweetheart and you're in your 40s and 50s and you're doing great, then that's awesome. You're a rarity. Sadly, most people end in divorce. Most of the younger people that get married go through a divorce. And interestingly enough, 70% of all divorces are initiated by women. If they're college educated, that number goes up to 80%. So the idea of men breaking up their families is complete bullshit. It's women. Now, women might have a valid reason why they're breaking up their divorces, and I've listed really the top 5. First one, cheating. Second one is just, you guys aren't good communicators. You know, when you're in a divorce, you're in a long-term relationship, communication really is the key. As you guys grow, as you develop new skill sets, kids enter the picture, all of this requires massive amounts of communication. And if you're young, that's a really hard one to do. Money is really probably the top one outside of cheating, is just financial irresponsibility on one or both parts. Or women are more educated, they're making more money these days, and if they surpass their husband's income, generally that's a trigger for divorce. Their hypergamous nature kicks in, they think they can do bigger, they think they can do better, they think, oh, I don't need him anymore. The other side of this is if the husband loses his job, gets injured, maybe a mental breakdown, something where he has lost his ability to make money, women generally will file for divorce. It's shitty, but men, you have to understand, women get married for different reasons than men do. Men, we do generally marry for love. We do generally marry to stay in it long term. Women have evolved in this modern age where they feel that if the man isn't providing what he used to provide, or she's providing more now, she loses interest and she'll file for divorce. These are just the facts. You talk to most women who go through a divorce, again, outside of cheating, outside of violence and drug abuse, which we'll talk about next, it's money. It always has to do with money. Number 4 is violence. Now, I get it. If you're in a marriage that your husband or wife is very violent, very emotionally abusive, and maybe you went through therapy, maybe all this horse shit, which doesn't work, you probably need to exit that for you. And if your partner is heavily using drugs and alcohol and they're not willing to change, again, these are some of the reasons why people go through a divorce. So if you're going through a divorce right now and it's your first marriage, I want to give you a little shocker on if you decide to get married a second time. Because you would think, all right, I screwed up my first marriage. I did this, I did that. I did not do these things. I'm a better person. I can get it right now. Well, here's the fact. 60% of all second marriages end in divorce. So the mere fact that you may have been a better person, you may have gotten things worked out that you did wrong in your first marriage, something's off here. Because if both parties have went through a divorce the first time, you think they get it right the second time. And it's just not the case. So we're going to look into the why on this. And then really just the third, if you're dumb enough to get married a third time, well, that's 73%. I mean, think about this. 73 out of 100 people getting married, their third marriage, they're going to go through a divorce. It's just dumb. I don't suggest getting married a second time, especially if you're trying to blend families, especially if there's just too much coming in, baby daddy, baby mama drama, all that stuff. This is where the second marriages tend to fall apart. And here's why. You're adding typically kids, okay? Now again, I'm not opposed, I'm not for or against dating single mothers, but what you have to understand is if you're getting married a second time, chances are very good she has kids and you have kids. Or she has kids and this is your first marriage, but it's her second marriage. Got to understand, these aren't both people getting married. This is just second marriages. So she may have never been married, but you've been married. I think a lot of it has to do with the blending of families. Now, instead of just you and her, you have you plus your kids plus the mom of those kids. Then you have her kids, and baby daddy. So now what you have is literally, depending on how many kids, you have 4 sets of adults into this relationship, plus however many kids you have. Depending on how their divorce went through or how your divorce, if you don't have a good relationship with your ex-wife and you don't have a great relationship with her ex-husband, then drama is going to happen. You're going to get this clashing. And typically what happens, because I do coaching with a lot of men who are going through a divorce, it's always stepkids. It's always the kids. Because as a stepfather, you have all or most of the responsibility to pay the bills, keep a house, do the lawn, all the maintenance, be there for the kids, buy them their shit, and you have literally no authority over them. None. You can't discipline them. Most of the stepkids look at you as, oh, he's just my stepfather, he's just my mom's husband. You really have no authority over them. You really have no say in their life. And then the worst part is, if you do develop a bond with them, and you go through another divorce, you have no access to those kids anymore. So not only you lost your wife, you've lost her kids. And then often what happens, depending on what state you live in, I know in New York, and there's a bunch of states, if you've been in this second marriage long enough, and they're not even your kids, you might be liable for child support for kids that aren't even yours. So I'm not here to scare you guys. I'm only here to give you information on why you really need to look into if going into a marriage, a second marriage, or again, if you're in your first marriage and she's coming out of a second marriage that has kids, you really need to understand what you're getting into. A lot of guys make the mistake of, I can come in and I can fix this. I can be the best stepfather in the world. I can be the man she needs me to be. I can be the best husband in the world. But if she's coming in her second marriage, and we know the divorce rate is 60%, and baby daddy number one is paying child support and probably some maintenance, if she got rid of that fucker, what makes you think she's going to keep you? This is how reality works. You have no kids together. Now, maybe you will in the future, but we're just talking about the stepkids here. If she got rid of the first husband for whatever reason, why would she keep you? That makes no sense. So we talk about cheating. Cheating is a big one. I get it. Infidelity, you step out of the marriage. But interestingly enough, in your first marriage, if you are very young, you're maybe a little bit immature, and you step out of your marriage, that can be worked on. You can make that work. Okay, again, if you're very young, you're just not emotionally mature, you stepped out, you slipped up. A lot of women can work on this, okay? That's not the main one. Violence, drug abuse, those are the two big ones. And I don't advocate for that at all. If you're in a shitty marriage where your husband is violent towards you, if he's emotionally or physically abusive, or he's using drugs and alcohol, I came personally, my father was it still is, it was a huge alcoholic, and he was very emotionally abusive to my mom. So I got to see that. She did not decide to get separated until after the kids, my youngest, was out of high school. She kind of suffered through because she did understand, although she was dealing with this, she understood that keeping two parents in the household for her was better. If you're a man watching this and you've already been through divorce, you know the only people who benefit in the divorce are the fucking lawyers and typically the woman. There's no benefit to you at all other than getting the divorce. You have legal and court fees you have to deal with. And again, if you're going through the divorce, you're going to learn this real quick. If you make more money than her, chances are you're going to have to pay for her attorney, or at least a portion of her attorney. Then you got to deal with splitting the assets. You know, what half of the assets are hers. Whether you're 35 years old and you've already accumulated your net worth, you have houses, you have businesses. When you get married, in some states, half of that shit's hers. So you got to really look into that fact, is am I willing to give up half of my shit for a woman who did not help me build this? Again, if you built it together in your first marriage, or maybe in your second marriage, you guys built a business and you scaled it, of course she gets half. But you got to look into that. Now you're living in separate conditions. You have an expense of your own house. Because maintenance kicks in, you're generally going to have to pay for the house that you just moved out of, at least until the divorce, and at least until the house goes up for sale. You're going to be liable to helping her maintain the life she had when you were in the house. Child support. You're always going to have to pay child support. And again, I get it. You're leaving, the divorce is happening, you're still liable for those kids. I completely understand that. So child support, but it is a cost. You do have to pay for child support, especially if you have split custody where you have the children half the time, you still have to pay child support. And then a lot of the times, because lawyers are fucking vultures, and the system, the judges in the system are usually all pro-women and what they deserve, children can be used as a weapon against you. I've seen this. I've coached dozens of guys who their wife is using the children as a weapon against them. If you don't do this, if you don't do it, you'll never see the kids. Visitation, they come up with all these crazy things where the guy gets to see the kid maybe once a month, for Christ's sakes. So these are real concerns that you have to ask yourself, especially if you've gone through the first divorce and you're thinking about going into a second one. Know that. I was in the military. I jumped out of aircraft. If my rigger says, hey man, if I ask my rigger, hey, what's the percentage of my chute not working? And he said 60%. Out of 10 times, 6 times, that fucking thing ain't gonna open up. Man, that's some bad, I wouldn't get in that aircraft. I wouldn't use him as my rigger. So this is think about it, 60%. Flip a coin, that's 50-50. It's still stacked against you. So again, I'm not for marriage or against it. I'm just here to give you the facts. I'm just here to let you know that if I was looking into this and you asked me, Jared, hey, would you get married again? Personally, no. I have a hard rule. I'm not going to get married again. And it's not for the fact that I don't love the girl I'm with. It has nothing to do with that. I don't want the state to dictate where my dick goes. I don't want the state to dictate my life because we didn't work out. And that's what's happening. That's how the court system works. I think you pay, what, $275 to get your marriage certificate, and you end up paying thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars to get out of it. Remember, divorce is a contract. It's a contract between you both. And if one person breaks the contract or decides, nah, I don't want this anymore, you as the guy, you're gonna pay. You're gonna pay. So it's not a great idea. If you wanna do it, hey man, that's up to you. But an alternative to this, if your woman's pushing you for marriage, if she's like, well, I want this thing to end in a divorce, and you truly do not want that, you have to set strong boundaries. You have to let her know, listen, I love you, I will care for you, stepkids, all this stuff, but I am not getting married. It has nothing to do with her specifically. It's what the states can do to you if she decides that she doesn't want to be married anymore, or you decide you don't want to be married anymore. My divorce wasn't horrible, but it did take a long time. There was real estate involved. There's huge expenses to try to split up assets and all that stuff. And lawyers are very good at wedging information or doing things or saying things to the other side to get them more pissed and go after. Like, you deserve, wait a minute, he bought this and then he transferred it into his LLC. Well, no, that's yours. The lawyers are fucking vultures. Remember that. They're just vultures. So you got to be careful. It's really the lawyers and the courts. The judges, like I said, they're mostly women. They're all feminist, and they're designed, their whole purpose is to fuck men in this divorce proceeding. Think about it this way. As far as the kids, I'll leave this with this final note. The only time in New York State a man gets full custody of the kids is if she's proven to be violent to the kids or a danger to herself, mentally ill, she killed somebody, not even drugs or alcohol. She's a drug addict or alcoholic, they still typically go with the kids. So it's very hard for a good man going through a divorce to actually get full custody of the kids. It's very hard. So with that, I know this video isn't really upbeat, it's more just facts. If you're in a marriage right now and you're happy and you guys have great communication, there's no cheating, the money side's good, you know, you both are contributing, there's no violence and drugs and alcohol, then great. You've actually won, you've beaten the odds. But most of the time, this just isn't the case. And a lot of these people in first marriages try it again and the odds are stacked against them even more. So with that, my name is Jared Schoonmaker. I hope this video made some sense to you. I hope it gave you a little bit of insight. If you found this video helpful, there's a ton of people watching these videos, but they're not subscribed yet. Hit like, hit subscribe. Hit the bell icon so that you know when new videos are being dropped. Go to the link below, magneticmensclub.com. I do personalized coaching for men and women, and we have 3 different distinct coaching programs. See if one of those are a fit for you. With that, Jared here, Magnetic Men's Club. Have a good day.